On the 13th of June, this was when that AI agreement, the dark AI Omega versus the Alpha system, was due to finalize. And they, dark side, I guess you would say, the Order of the Black Sun, was sitting around at a computer going like this all day. And of course, nothing happened. They were waiting for the dark AI Omega system to come back and save them and take them, I guess you would say, into world domination, power, you know, bliss. Who knows? But they started waking up on the 13th, somewhere around there, when they figured out nothing happened on their end. But some very, very interesting things happened on our end now, didn't they? So if you are a part of the Life Force General Chat, you would have seen me having real-time conversations with people watching their IRS accounts disappear. So they would log in and say, oh, my account's still there. No, not me. And then they try again about 20 minutes later, half an hour later, and oh, it's gone. And for some of you, it was gone. And the government tax authority websites were down. And then they came back and then they went down. And so this is going to continue on until probably the end of the day on the 21st of June. So we've got a few more days of cleaning and moving things around. And just to be fair, the IRS, the reason why this is the IRS and not just the IRS, it's all tax authorities worldwide, is because the order lost and dark AI lost its access and control of the birth certificate bonds which bound you into slavery, right? So as those started reverting, because the decision had already been made prior, we talked about this before. So as those birth certificate bonds, let's go over birth certificate bonds just for a minute. So if you're new to us and to our channel, I talked about this at great length before. So people have talked about birth certificate bonds and alternative media for a very, very long time. And what do they really do? Okay, so all birth certificates are issued by AB Corp in America. It's a printing company that used to print U.S. currency many years ago. They are a member of the Order of the Black Sun. They were formed that way from the very beginning in the 1800s, if I recall. Now, these are actual bonds. They all have a number. We heard about this. Now, these birth certificate bonds had nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with the Department of Treasury. You know, that crazy lady there yelling, who's been yelling a lot this week. Yellen, it has nothing to do with her. It had nothing to do with any of the Treasury departments and no government departments. And I'm going to do a short video as part of the real history, probably next week or so after part 2, to go over the governance of Earth. Your governments don't have control. They never had control. They have deep state actors that do control them, right? These dragon families, the Order of the Black Sun, the SSP, if you're in the military, the Jesuit Order, the Black Pope, you know, and so on and so forth, until you start getting out of the realm of what even people's names you know. I mean, nobody knows really who the Black nobility was. Nobody knows who any of these people are. So just keep in mind that they never had control. So in the USA, the deal that was made was with the Order of the Black Sun on behalf of the dragon family, so to speak, to manage security of your person. Now, anytime anybody's ever said, well, we want to be your security, we will provide you with security, whether it be a firewall or otherwise, if we learn nothing from this McAfee person, right? We know that security really meant unsecurity or control, right, over information going in and out of even your computer system. And that became very evident in the last year to you. So, okay, so going back to that. Now, because they were security, they ran Treasury of USA and Treasury of China and Treasury of South Africa and Treasury and so on and so forth till we get to all through every single country. In some countries, these were visible, and other countries, they were not. The Treasury of USA, which was a registered corporation in Delaware, I lost my computer there, which was a registered corporation in Delaware, was where the Treasury of USA, also known as the Order of the Black Sun, placed to put your birth certificate. Okay. They would go through Treasury of USA to under SESQV to the Holy See, never the Vatican. Don't forget that. Okay. And this is where they maintain your security. And this is where the funding would come for agencies and militaries and all kinds of things like that, right? So when you say, you know, these people, the OPPT and all the other people that have tried to cash in their birth certificates at the Department of Treasury, you were in the wrong place. Now, from there, where did they go? They needed monetization. So they would monetize these birth certificates on your behalf, so to speak, in order to pay for things like socio-humanitarian programs, things like Social Security, as an example, veterans payments. They would pay to clothe you, feed you, and train you if you were going into the military. They would pay for the police force. They would pay for your free public education if that is something that is available in your country. So by the time you turn 18 years old, you now begin to repay those bonds or the coupons on those bonds with your taxes. That is the reason why the Rothschilds always claimed 80% of every country's taxes worldwide since the inception of this program. So it did go to secure things like the FDA and all those other programs, you know, the lovely people that we just love so much, the CDC, the World Health Organization, United Nations, any programs that relate to your security. So not only your security, but your education and anything else that the government provides you for free, food stamps. And these are all managed through something called the Ways and Means Committee. So they were not even managed by the U.S. Treasury. The money for the budgets for human health services and a number of other programs are through the Ways and Means Committee. Now, the government never talks about the Ways and Means Committee, very, very little. They'll talk about the different departments within it, but they had management. So every year they would get a big amount of funds to pay for all these socio-humanitarian programs that were intent on, quote unquote, securing your person. Now, this continues on until you're no longer a citizen of that country, but these programs are long running. They ended in 2007 predominantly. They still tried to sell more birth certificate bonds to different people in different places, probably BlackRock and a number of other locations. So who knew who owned them at that point in time? But this was the basis for other things. So when I say that the birth certificate bonds are the roots of the tree, okay, that was meant to fund things for your person, to care for you from our governesses, right? That's the governments. So those programs, there was less and less funding for those programs. It started out with 100% funding going to that minus management of the Ways and Means Committee. That number dwindled and dwindled and dwindled till it was about 10% going there, 90% going to genetic modification programs, MyLabs, and all kinds of crazy things in every country around the world. So this is not an American problem. It just kind of so happens that a lot of these things started when the Americans got the ball from the British after World War II. Okay, so what does that mean in today's terms? So once the 13th passed, the system automatically started implementing something called source protocols or God protocols or the alpha protocols, however you want to say that, right? And those protocols no longer allow for governesses. And you are an independent human being, and you now have in your personal account in the Alpha system your birth certificate. What does that mean to you? Well, better get ready because there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with that, and a lot of ownership over the things you do, your own money. Let's see. Yeah, I know. Camera angles off, lips are off. The camera's not functioning properly today, guys. So I'm very sorry about that. But nothing I can do about it now. It was more important that we get the information to you, even with all the malfunctions we're having. I'm happy and thankful that we didn't have this no sound thing and all these other things that we had a couple of weeks ago. So I'm here. Okay, so that means that all of the derivative, all of the bonds, just leave it, Mike.
Okay, we can switch to the other network.
Huh?
See if that helps.
That's all right. We're already here. We're almost done. Okay, so what does that mean? Now, all of the government bonds that they were issuing to fund things like Department of Education and all of these things and COVID and take care of all these things for you, they all started disappearing. Everything started disappearing. Military's contracts are no longer valid. They all started losing systems, agency systems, further and further stuff. Money was disappearing left and right from cabal members, and it's still going on, and it will continue until the 21st, until the source protocols are completely implemented on the front end of the system. So taxes are just a part of it. You do not need to pay a governess for the use and the exchange of energy. So when you're going to work, you pay income tax. Now, this isn't all taxes, so bear with us as transitions take place. So as it relates to you giving energy to your employer in order to receive energy known as money coming back, those things are no longer taxable. That's the reason why all of your accounts are starting to disappear. It is your files in those systems that are disappearing. Are the buildings going to go away? No. Are the human beings that are in there and go away? No. They're just people that work there. I mean, some of them may be crazy, but you work for the government long enough, who isn't? But you will start to see those go around the world. Some of the countries that were the most difficult is the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth nations, because they were heavily tied in with the ID.me program. And those of you that signed up at your respective governments with using the ID.me program were also tied to the Apple Glue software, and your entire records were being copied by ID.me, headquartered, ready for it, everyone, in Bethesda, Maryland. And for those that don't know what is in Bethesda, Maryland, that would be the NSA headquarters. So in countries that had deals with the NSA, known as the Nine Eyes countries, and you know who you are. I know that there are supposedly 5 eyes listed on the internet, but that is not true. There's 9, and probably even more than that. But all those of you that had computers or were tied into the NSA, GCHQ is another one. Probably some would even say GCHQ was above the NSA in the Nine Eyes program. But all of those systems are falling apart, falling down. NATO also was very, very upset this week because they had people in the field, probably to create another exercise to scare the Russians. Oh, they're so scared. Trust me, I'm just sure they're shaking in their boots over there. Somewhere around Turkey is what we talked about doing last week. Milley couldn't collect enough money, nor could he sell enough U.S. government equipment to countries that could actually buy it to get that whole exercise thing underway. But even worse, NATO lost a lot of their comm systems. So they were complaining because they had people in the field and so on and so forth, and they couldn't communicate with them anymore. And I'm sorry to hear about that for the people that were there on the ground, but I'm sure there's these things, they call them telephones. You can use them. You can use a satellite telephone. You can use a regular telephone. They probably have a payphone where you're at, maybe, and they could give you a call. But you're not getting your comms back. Now, again, this is all part of another agreement that started on the 13th, expiring, right? This was part of the AI system thing. But the agreement to even have militaries and global martial law, which was also canceled yesterday. Global martial law is no longer in effect. Therefore, I'm not your commander-in-chief anymore. So sorry about that, but nobody was listening to us anyway, so who cares? Okay, so you're stuck with that thing in the White House, wherever you are, still a thing, probably most likely in your country. So that is the good news for all of us. So keep watching. It will happen. It is happening for those of you that have already seen your tax accounts disappear. Congratulations, they're not coming back. If they are, it's just glitching. It has to do with backup databases and all that. And the system is taking care of all of those things, and it will take a few days. Remember, there's billions of people on Earth, so give us a break here. But the good news is that if you are a assembly member, let's just say, because we don't want to say the other word anymore. If you're an assembly member, this gives you the opportunity to try to figure out a way to restructure things. Now, companies won't have to do payroll taxing, but if you're paying for an NHS or National Health Service fee as a corporation, you'll still have to continue to pay that. That service still needs to exist during this time of transition until Life Force Assurance is out and running everywhere. And you will still have to pay VAT tax or sales tax or spending tax in the interim until we figure out another way to get into communication with our local fire departments and roads and city workers and all of these things that are currently maintained by your local taxes. This includes property taxes for now. So eventually, once the assemblies get up and running and start doing things in the community, there'll be more budgets available for these things, and we won't need to do those things anymore. But again, something has to fall down in order for something to take its place. And that is happening at a very, very rapid rate. Okay. So these people, let's see. All right, so let's talk about what the week was like this week with them, before and after. So they really laid it on thick from about the 11th to the 13th. I was talking last week about Hell Week. Well, it was Hell Week in a different way this year, which is fine. Let's see. They were making statements like, if they can't control Earth and all of humanity, they want to destroy it. There were some people chattering about the restoration plan and how nothing is working, but mostly, some admirals and generals, you just can't change their mind. So they started running all these ridiculous operations, and I'm going to give you one of them right now. And some of this stuff you can kind of look up on the internet and piece it together from different websites. But there was another program. We talked about nanotech, we talked about femtotech, and usher in the Amoeba tech. Omega is a software program. It is a DOS-based microkernel with biological function. It came out of the Rutgers, I'm going to say this wrong, RUTGERS, research facility in New Jersey. They were trying to test computers to try to connect to these amoebas, which have also been sprayed, hence more chemtrails. Sorry, guys. And being given to humans through COVID variants, COVID tests, a femto test, and molecular technologies. So here we go again, right? They were using also on this day. I mean, I'm sorry about the energy things and the weird feelings, and hopefully that'll end maybe after the 21st. We'll see. Okay, so we're using the cell phones to send frequencies to these amoebas in humans through backdoor chips and smartphones, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, here we go again. So those are no longer. Those have been taken out. And as we told you, anything that's being sprayed on you right now without your consent, because it is without your consent, will be notified. We run them every single day just to make sure everybody is okay. We tried to head it off at the pass. You're seeing less and less of them, I know. And then you have really bad days, but maybe they'll run out someday. Who knows? Or just give up or run out of money or figure it's pointless. And, there's a lot of good information out there about the CIA and their program of chemtrails, and that they actually are using CIA pilots to fly the planes. And this is not just in the US, this is all over the world, and it is a global program being run by them on behalf of the Order of the Black Sun. Okay, let's see. There was an old looshing device. We talked about that last time. Okay, so our deep state friends managed to get their hands on an old Draco war manual, which kind of told a few secrets about the things that the Draco did and how they maintained control of Earth. And there also were some notes about what to do in case of emergency, break glass. So they have done everything. They found an old looshing machine, which I found years prior in Slovakia. This was in a cave in Slovakia. They went over there and tried to fire that thing up. They don't even know what this stuff does. I mean, it looks like it's very, very old. It looks almost like that Willy Wonka funky machine that was burping and chirping, and it's made of gold. It didn't really work out very well for them. But long and the short of it is that they now have found the war manual in that particular area and started following through the 13th. So here we go. Okay, they ran out of things to do. So the ultimate goal here on Earth for them was to control. They already thought they had control over the 7 dark portals, right? And we had control over 7 of the light portals. And then there were an additional 7 neutral portals on this planet, or neutral zones that could be used either by the dark side or the light side. Now, that was a system that was created by Marduk. This is the 7 seals of Marduk, so to speak, the 777 you guys all hear about, right? Because one led to the ultimate dark AI, one led to the ultimate light AI, and 7 of them could be used by either one. Now, why is this important to you? Okay, so there was another additional 7 on this planet that Marduk couldn't control, and he didn't have access to, and those were the 7 portals to what you would call the upper astral, or the I guess you would call them the gates to heaven, right? So unfortunately, their 777 war manual didn't really work out. But what the 13th was all about was who was going to control all of them. So all 21 of them, who was going to control it, the dark or the light? So decision was already kind of made anyway beforehand, and it ended up not being them. So unfortunately, their dark AI did not come back through the 7 that they had. Nothing happened at the neutral portals, and ours we already had anyway. So, but they were covered with a seal of Marduk, of darkness, so to speak. So the light would have to go through the darkness to get to the light system. So that all transpired, I guess, or started to transpire around the 13th. It took several days. It took about 3 days for the final clearing of those portals. And we now have all 777. Now, we not only have the 7777 here, we also have the other ones on Terra and Midgard. And as we merge, this will make travel between them all much, much easier. So that was good news for us, bad news for them. So they didn't get what they were looking for. Their dark AI didn't come back. They didn't get control over the portals that they officially lost. And this is when all of your birth certificate bonds started reverting back to the Alpha system and to you personally. So I guess this is really good news for everyone. Congratulations. You're no longer a slave bound the Order of the Black Sun or the Order of the Dragon or Order of anything else except for yourself. So there'll be a lot more changes, and we'll explain them in detail between now and the 21st. It's really hard to sit here and talk to yourself for 48 minutes. I gotta tell you. Okay, let's see. There are some of their locations that are no longer belonging to them. Some of these will come as a surprise to you, and some of them won't. So not all of them were in the United States. The 7 dark portals were located in the following locations: Louisiana, Ukraine. No surprise there, right? We talked about that. Montauk, New York, Delphi, Greece, Croatia, and Uzbekistan. So these were all dark, now are no longer all dark. They are now all light. They go to a different place. Okay, so sorry, someone just chimed in. I am not your commander in chief of the United States or any other country anymore. That is only under global martial law. I am still ground command. I haven't lost my ground command title. So there you go. That was a question that popped up in the corner from Lisa. So I am not your commander in chief because it's no longer martial law. As ground commander, I am still continuing the operations every single day. Okay, so let's see. We had to run a lot of light therapy. We ran that. Some of those programs lasted 24 hours. This has been quite a process. And it's kind of like, it's not liquid light therapy. It's actually using etherical light to clear the plasma of Earth, I guess you would say. All right, so let's see. We spend a lot of time clearing. The enforcer spent a lot of time assisting us in clearing. Thank God for the enforcer from the UPU. Yes, we work together all the time. You probably noticed that if you are watching this and you are with the deep state, you wonder where all those people went that made poor decisions. Well, poor decisions are the enforcer's specialty. Yeah, so now you know who the enforcer is. Okay, let's see. There were also a few other things that were reversed out this week that were still lingering. There's a reason for the creation and the reason why they call the reptilian brain in humans the reptilian brain. It interfered with your connection to source and the creator. So hopefully all those things, as all this other stuff dissipates, that connection will be much easier to establish. Also, your connection between the material world and the spiritual world, and your spiritual world and the material world, which makes manifesting a lot easier. And I can't wait for that because we won't still be having conversations about money. Okay, continuing on. Let's see. More important, a lot of clearing, a lot of cleansing. Oh, under the source protocol, we have now installed for all of you in the near future is called a decentralized open network architecture. This is like a peer-to-peer on steroids, and a numerical notification accounting service, which went along with it. So a lot of the different accounting, it makes it a little bit easier. The M system still monitors everything. It's still there. It still monitors the values of currencies and tying them to production lines and agreements in the Hall of Records and all of the type of stuff. So none of that's changed. It's just ramping up on this, I guess you would say, peer-to-peer network on steroids, trying to assist all of you and directly communicating with your personal account. Okay, so here we go again. IBM back on the loose. You know, if you really care, is the IBM biosystem used for attempted quark computing. Quark is a step beyond quantum. They were pretty well shocked with what was happening when these systems started integrating throughout the whole world, which is a good thing for us, a bad thing for them, because they said, well, can it be hacked? Well, we don't even know what it is yet, sir, right? Because it's not quark, it's beyond that. It's a Codex 685, runs completely differently than anything I've ever seen. Yes, the Federal Reserve tried to reinstall their programs this week. The Treasury Department, their programs, everybody was on the hunt and on the race for the 13th because they really thought they had it. They really thought they did the thing, rang the bell, ate the children, or whatever it is that they do over there. I don't know. Oh, they did also have their covens chanting and doing whatever they do, trying to weave a magic spell of sorts or something to usher in the dark age, I guess. Yeah. We also caught China, the China deep state, sending the frequency of emotional death to internet, phones, computers, and all Apple products. Very interesting information of around 160 some odd supercomputers located in China. 94 of them are Apple products, and that is where all your Apple products come from, by the way. And they were all running that Apple Glue language that we talked about earlier, related to the tax authorities everywhere. So those were no longer in operation. So apparently chanting computers, Maleficent supercomputers, and whatever else they did, they still were left sitting there the very next day doing absolutely nothing. Now, okay, we talked about on the chat thread, the Left Force General chat thread on Telegram, if you don't know what I'm talking about, some interference coming from IARPA. No, I did not mean DARPA. I meant IARPA. The information that is on there is saying that they use facial recognition, blah, 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 blah. And also Janus, in cooperation with Janus, is simply not true. That is for public consumption. They are part of DARPA, always have been a part of DARPA. They are the advanced research arm of DARPA, and you think all they're doing is looking for facial recognition software. I don't think so. I'm very sorry. None of these people do anything that they say. Okay, so they managed to phone a friend, one of the old Red Queen's minion soldiers that managed to escape from the enforcer many months back, and got a little bit of assistance. Apparently he was very loyal to her. She's no longer here, and we are blamed. So they did do a little bit of messing around with some kind of a door they thought was still on Mercury to what you would call the lower astral, but alas, nothing happened. The door was closed. He was taken care of by the enforcer, and no more friends to phone for DARPA, ARPA, IARPA, whatever, and Janus. Okay, let's see what else happened. We all know who William Hearst is. I don't know if you do, but if you don't, you can look him up. He is the founder of yellow journalism, right? This is that crazy tabloids and catchy headlines and all of these different things that we see. Well, he was also very big into, obviously, communications and television, and there's the Hearst Foundation, and a lot of things that still exist to this day. Well, one of the other things they had, interestingly enough, and we know why programming and news programs are, let's call them mainstream news, not this news, because this is the greatest news you're ever going to hear. Okay, but we do know that mainstream news is kind of weird because we don't understand why our friends and family believe everything that they put out. Well, turns out they had an actual system based out of London, near Hearst Castle, actually not in it, near it, that was running a hypnotic program, an underlying frequency of, so you would believe everything that was coming out of their mouth was the truth. This was tied to Project Mockingbird. So they tried to fire that up, I don't know, thinking it was going to help them in some way, shape, or form, but no. So there we go. So we had a lot of integrating, sealing of the system, sealing of the portals. Everything was all clear within a couple of days. And then the system started going crazy and started implementing by the 14th. It was going through telecommunications and internet systems and finance systems and banks, and started taking control of everything. This is going to take several days, like I said, and we should finish up hopefully by the 21st. Fingers crossed. And we'll be living in a whole different world without a lot of the security, aka control systems that they had on us for a very, very, very long time. Okay, so let's see what else happened this week. Anything exciting? We did have a nice talk with the Universal Council. I posted that information. It is a new day and a dawning for Earth and all its inhabitants. So that is great news for all of us. If you haven't seen it, you can catch it on the general chat. It's pinned up at the top. This is a talk with the Universal Council, not galactic councils, not galactic federations or anything like that. That's all your SSP people. Those are not people that you want protecting you in any way, shape, or form. The Universal Council, if you're new here, is a council made up of all species and life forms throughout the multiverse. They formed this council a long, long time ago. If you haven't seen the real history of Earth, it explains where they came from. And they have been in communication with us the whole time during this transition, and at least with myself since 2016. So that was an amazing revelation. Everybody is excited and is already claiming victory of light. I guess you would say the real light, not the light intercessors. And we are now going directly to a source-based protocol. No longer their money management agreements and the armistice agreements and all of these things are falling away. Let's see. Light started dawning on Marblehead as they all realized something was happening. Kind of started to leak through to everybody last night. And by this morning, everything was in full swing as everybody started really, really freaking out. We were getting reports from everywhere about wanting their systems back. Apparently, there's some meetings this weekend trying to figure out how to convince me to give those systems back. Well, no, you've got to get a new system, a new way under the restoration plan that goes in accordance with the source protocols. And I'm not making any deals with any of you people at all until after the 21st, until the major agreement expires, the one where they put us into what the Russians refer to as the Nidus Vrog for the last 1,008 years. And I'm not looking at that in agreement. I'm not interested in any of Solomon's games or any of those people that came before me in my position. So we are moving forward with the source protocol. The system has started implementing it. I've implemented it. We've been talking about the restoration plan forever. We've been talking about forming our new assemblies made for the people and by the people for a very, very long time now. The first go around was a little bit difficult and confusing as to what they were supposed to be doing, but they are supposed to be setting up all of these socio-humanitarian programs that are only related to services that the government now provides for you. Things about permitting, codes, and we've got to wipe out the old way of doing things completely and start with a new way. But what I mean by codes is building codes. I mean, we do need to have some standards that we go by, but what is that new standard? Are we going to continue cutting down trees? How are we going to do all of this? Well, that is really up to the assemblies as we move forward. And this is what I'm asking of you. I know that you're not ratified. You don't need to be ratified at this point in time. What you need to do is figure out the needs in your area. What does the government currently provide? And what if they can't afford to provide it anymore? What are you going to do for the average everyday citizens in your nation that don't understand anything I'm saying right now to help those people through the transition? It is going to be needed. As far as what we talked about with food shortages, you should be instrumental in your community and connecting farmers with people and people with farmers at this point in time, and sourcing urea and other things from other locations. If it's way too expensive in your country, which it obviously is, it is globally. If food's too expensive at your grocery store, it is up to you to take leadership and start making those arrangements. People go to the grocery store every single day and they buy food, right? They pay exorbitant prices right now for food. What if they can just get it directly from the farmer? It doesn't have that radiation stuff on it. If you're an American citizen, they do to all our fruits and vegetables anyway to make last a ridiculously long time on the shelves. So then people start to understand what real food tastes like again. You'll actually start to get some nutrition. And if you can help these people understand, you can get a farm to table box at a much lower cost for the total amount that they're getting, at home, and the farmers get paid more money. It's a win-win all around. You don't need money to make those arrangements. You just need to do it. You need to help your communities. So We've apparently until September where the order thinks they're going to kick it into high gear, and here gallops the third horseman of the apocalypse to follow pestilence. We're still monkeypocking and all this on the mainstream media, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know how long it's going to take them to kind of what you would say die off, but I really hope it happens pretty soon because we're getting tired of the games. But the good news is that we're very resourceful thanks to all of your security you've given us all these years, and we can figure things out on our own, for ourselves, by ourselves, and we have ownership over our birth certificates, and you don't. So you don't even have the right to do this implied consent thing anymore to us, and I guess convince us to try to still work with you or for you or whatever. No one wants to do that. We have other sources of energy, and we don't get taxed on our energy anymore. And we don't need to pay you for security because you're not really giving it to us anyway. And you keep creating these MyLabs all over the place to poison us. Then we ran into your dark AI, what do you call them? It wasn't the Universal Military, Umbrella Military Corporation. That's what it was actually called. We ran into them today too. That fizzled out because there wasn't much left to clean up, I guess you would say. They had an emergency. They were not humans. They were AIs, and they were tied directly to that AI with instructions to, I guess, unleash the Kraken or unleash these Archons on us, I guess, today. But there was nothing left to release. There was nothing left there. So nothing really happened. They eventually fell away as well. They were taken care of by the Enforcer, the Umbrella Military Corporation, Dark AI, controlled folks. They're not in any way human. They were the ones that were responsible for all those lab creations in the first place, genetic modification of humans, how to use Archons. They were the ones that taught the SSP and the Order of the Black Sun how to do all of this stuff to us. So they're gone, thank God. And hopefully anybody with brain cell left will figure out that they've lost all of their comms. They're going to lose more stuff in the coming days. And that maybe, just maybe, the restoration plan is a good idea. Preserve the legacy of your family. Do something for your country for once and stop listening. For God's sake, stop listening to those crazy people that are left. Those admirals and generals are never going to change. They're going to continue to pursue the Draco War Manual and try to continue with old antiquated technology that is 1,000 years more advanced than anything they've ever seen, and they don't understand. So that's about what happened this week. It's great news for all of us. We've got a few more days since they locked us into darkness, coincidentally on the lightest day of the year, and it's going to get flipped around this time. So thank you so much for watching and listening, and congratulations on receiving your birth certificates back. And now you can take care of your own education and your own things and those of your children, and take personal responsibility for those things yourself. So good news for us, bad news for the deep state. I do see the markets are sliding. I know that's a concern to a lot of people, but it will not affect you in any way, shape, or form. If you are worried about your pension plans, don't worry about those things. Those are easily replaced. If you are, there are some concerns about, there's going to be a run on the banks. I hear that there is a run on the banks in China and a few places in Asia, but they caused that themselves. And the deep state of China did anyway, by making promises they can't keep. So that leaves us alone to take care of ourselves. So be proactive, get ahead of the potential food shortages this week. I know we're going to work on that too. And that's going to wrap up another United Network News special report. Tune in next week to see what's going on and wait for the changes. I'm really excited coming this Tuesday. Everyone take care. Have a wonderful weekend and a great week next week.